doom and gloom, but it is the perfect day for going out and making a big impact in the world, because everybody is really hyped about New Year's resolutions and starting new paths and forging new paths and forging new ways, you know, so everybody should get on that train of let's make a difference in the world. Dr. T. No, we are not.
The only paths I'm forging these days are through the snow.
Well, no, well, and one, I will say thank you for whoever is in charge of all the rain and moisture. We are very grateful for it. I love the rain and snow, and I really like it this time of year. Granted, I feel like it's like a week and a half too late. You know, having 50 degrees over Christmas was a little strange. But I am very grateful for the snow and moisture we've received. What's really incredible about the new year and the new year with insurance and all of that, and my guest host couldn't be in today, but he is the financial arm of my business. And so I thought I'd take some time today and kind of explain why I'm really good at what I do.
FYI, 173% of global snow practice.
Yeah.
Cool.
Good.
Southwest Utah. Yeah.
Yes, that's what we need. We need that like for, I don't know, 2 or 3 years to get out of this drought we're in, right? But I'm really good at just educating people and allowing people to make their own decisions regarding their own insurance things, because as I have had some conversations over the winter break or through December, people are like, well, I'm not really ready to make the transition, but it goes to show what they know about their policy and what they don't know about their policy.
Mm-hmm.
I know we've done it before, but I kind of want to quickly do it again. Going over state liability limits on your auto vehicles, they're usually presented in like $100,000 to $300,000 and $100,000 number somewhere on your policy. What that really means is that you have $100,000 per person that you injured, that you injured in your accident, right? Up to $300,000 in medical payments for the total accident and $100,000 worth of property damage. So what that really breaks down into is, let's say that I run a red light, right? I hit an oncoming car of 4 people. And in that scenario, I hit their vehicle, which then crashes into a light post. And with the amount of gas stations we have on corners, let's say that I hit a gas pump. Nothing catastrophic happens at the gas pump, just I tip it over and go through there. So gas pumps, like the single module, runs from $30,000 to $75,000. Just that where we pump gas out of. Vehicles right now, how much is a Toyota Camry?
30, 40, 50.
Right. You know, and depending on what I hit. So then it sounds like that $100,000 worth of property damage, you know, and the light posts, you know, what controls all of traffic, you know, those are at least 10,000, if not more.
Mhm.
So that $100,000 got spent rather quickly, right?
Right.
So then take it into the car in the medical. Let's say everybody gets an ambulance ride and everybody has to spend 2 nights in the hospital. Well, let's say that's $15,000 a piece, you know, if not more. I'm not a medical and I'm not billing and I'm not anything else. I'm just presenting a scenario. Okay.
Mhm.
If there was 4 people times $15,000, that's $60,000, right? That's a lot, given that you have 100,000 per person, up to 300,000 for the accident. But if each one max that out and we're in ICU for a week, your $100,000 just went out the window like that.
Yeah.
And you only have $300,000 for the whole thing, right? So would you have adequate insurance limits or not?
Mhm.
And that's
And
kind of
how
the question.
Handfuls of dollars extra would it cost to double that or something? Not very much. Really.
No, and that's what's really incredible is everybody's price shopping right now, which I get, right? I
Right.
can't control price, I can control coverage. And to that extent, I can control coverage offered. And what that does is it gives me an advantage of educating anybody I'm talking to, the ability to make a decision on how much more to spend or how much less to spend to leverage their dollar. I'm gonna call it leveraging, because if I'm spending $20 for state minimum limits, which is $25,000 per person, up to $65,000 per accident, with a total of $15,000 in property damage.
Mhm.
Okay. If I educate them, and let's say they're spending $100 a month for that type of coverage, Just again, presenting a scenario. I'm not, quoting or anything over the radio, but you go through that and maybe it's $10 more a month, an entire $120 more a year to double that coverage, right? To put it into a $100,000 status, 50 for individual medical, 100,000 for total medical, and 50,000 for property damage, right? For $10 more a month. And let's say it's $15 more a month to triple that coverage and put it into 100,000. Well, it'd be 4 times 25,000, but 100,000, 300,000 for total accident, and $100,000 for property damage. Liability insurance, and I'll go into the house insurance and property insurance in just a sec, but liability insurance is your cheapest insurance. Most companies have made it the cheapest insurance. It's where you get expensive when you drive a $70,000 vehicle and you want a $200 deductible. The insurance companies are like, well, you're pushing all of the risk on us. We're going to charge you a lot for that kind of premium, right? Or that kind of deductible. But if I have a $70,000 vehicle and I have a $1,000 deductible, that means I'm willing to pay, work with, or figure out how to survive without turning in an insurance claim under $1,000. But even still, if it's $1,500, I might not turn in a claim because it's not worth the record, right? So you go into kind of negotiating right there with your insurance agent, and everybody should have these conversations. And if you're going online and price shopping, my biggest worry is that you're not adjusting the liability limits, because a lot of those programs default to state minimums. So you see savings of $700 a year, which is a lot. I'm not saying it's not. That's like $85, $84 a month. That's significant savings. But if you've gone from standard coverage at 100, 300, 100 to state limits, you're doing yourself a disservice in not paying attention to the liability limits for your auto line. This is McKenna Hansen. Welcome to Wired Wednesday. And we're talking about insurance today of where you can really leverage your dollar the best and protect the family and protect you as an individual in making sure that you have insurance limits adequate to the asset base. Okay. So then that's kind of the auto scenario, right? Property. Right now, we have gone through a crazy housing market, a crazed housing market, so to say, in the last 18 to 24 months. Just insane volume and transactions and things going on, right? Well, with that, your asset base has also increased because your appraisal value, at least in Iron County, has increased at least 200% over the last 10 years, if not 300% in some areas. Okay. Your asset base has grown. If your insurance policy only has $100,000 in personal liability for your now valued or appraised value at a $500,000 home, you're underinsured in the liability protection, protecting your asset. And what liability protection, and this is one of the many ways that it can be solved. But let's say I'm in my own backyard yelling at my lawnmower like I always do because it won't start. Gratefully, I have a husband that mows my lawn most of the time, but I'm yelling at it. My neighbor thinks I'm yelling at them, right? Next thing I know, I have a notice of filed for suit against me for calling my lawnmower a bad name when my neighbor heard it. Liability insurance protects you from being liable for other people's damages, right? Or I'm in the grocery store, or somebody falls in a ditch on my property that I didn't even know was there and they broke their leg and now they have pain and suffering, those types of things. And if you don't have adequate liability limits, then you go into your own asset base, which is either liquidating your checkings and savings account, your 401ks, your anything of tangible value that you have built up can be depleted through other people's claim against you in you causing their pain and suffering, right? Literally, I've done the math. It is less than a 10% difference between 100,000 and 300,000, 300,000 and 500,000, 500,000 and 750,000, and then having $1 million for your $750,000 house. You want $1 million because the difference between 750 and $1 million in liability insurance is cheap. It's less than $5 a month, at least with our rating system in most of the cases I deal with, right? Again, I can't be very specific over the air, and each situation's so different. But I encourage everybody, to look at their policies as they're going through their budget for the new year and going through all of the different things for the new year and going through and fine tuning those and really taking an educated decision, because that is what I love. And that is what I am so good at with my job, is I will look at anybody's insurance policy and I will poke holes in it. I will give them accolades for having adequate coverage, or this is really good, you need to keep this, but if anything, I want people to be educated, and I want people to feel comfortable with either what they have or what they could have, whether that's with me or they're price shopping for other companies. I'll sit down and look at all of them, the pros and cons of A company, the pros and cons of B company, the pros and cons of C company, to the best knowledge that I have regarding each of those companies.
When you get home insurance, is liability automatically, or is it an add-on, or I know like when you get car insurance, there is some liability that's just there.
Yes.
But is that not the same with homes, or?
In the policies that I write, and I cannot attest for every agent out there, in the policies that I write, I insure the structure itself for fire, wind, hail, and a bunch of other 17 other named peril things. And then I also put liability insurance on there automatically, because if there's, in my own opinion, if there's not property insurance or property liability insurance, there's no reason to insure the structure, because you'll be sued. You will have a total loss in somebody coming after you and suing you before you'll have a structural damage, structural fire. And then if people are really nervous about things or want to make sure that they're protecting their asset base as well.
I know this, maybe.
Ooh,
An umbrella policy?
it is an umbrella policy. Ding,
Oh, wait,
ding.
right,
Ding, 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 ding. Thank you. Yes, it is an umbrella policy. Now, visualize an umbrella. Okay. It's a U upside down, right? It has curvature over the top and over to one side, right? It is facing down. So umbrellas only cover what is already existing, and it extends the liability limit to the umbrella limit. Okay. An umbrella, and people misname this all the time. They say, well, that's just a part of my umbrella, or that's a part of this, or that's a part of that. Umbrellas are not inverted. They are not a U shape, right? They are an upside down U, meaning they are protecting what is underneath them. They cannot catch things. So if you do not have your liability insurance listed, like an auto listed on your policy, your umbrella will not, should not, by policy structure, should not cover that auto or anything that it's caused in damage, because it wasn't already prior scheduled.
So in other words, what you're telling me is that if you're looking into an umbrella policy, and I know I used to listen to a financial advisor on the radio who really suggested umbrella policies, especially if you had, high value assets. But what you're telling me is that your house, your property, your vehicles, if they do not already have
Liability insurance.
with them, they're not going to be covered by the umbrella.
Correct. Umbrellas are very specific in, it has to be identified and known what it is already covering. So for all of my farm and ranch people out there, or people with high value homes now, high value home is over 750, right? With real estate and everything else. If your property is not listed on your policy, like location 1 or location 6 or whatever, it is up to the insurance agent or the insurance company whether or not to accept or deny that claim, because it is not currently listed in your policy documents. And you can get a current set of your policy documents by contacting your agent. If you don't know who your agent is, I can help you in getting new policies written, but I can't help you contact your existing policy holder or policy company with the policy you have. What's really curious about, umbrellas is people are like, well, why do have them? Why not have them? Back into this scenario that we talked about at the beginning of the show. I cause an accident with 4 people. Let's say I hit a pedestrian, I hit the light pole, I hit the gas
I
pump.
like the young at your lawnmower better, but.
Right. So, well, it just goes back into things compound, right? And people can comprehend a single accident. So in that, let's say everybody is in the ICU for a month, right? Or in 2 weeks, the hospital for another 2 weeks, pain and suffering, physical therapy, don't know how to walk again because I hit this pedestrian that I didn't even see, right? Property damage regardless, right? Pain and suffering of 5 people. All of the medical bills that I caused them by not paying attention and running this red light, my total medical bills are, let's say, 1.3 million. Did I have adequate insurance limits or not?
Without an umbrella policy, probably not.
Correct. So I have a total of 300,000 of medical and $100,000 of property damage, right? And umbrellas dictate some other minimum liability standards, which is called a 300 CSL or more. So my first 300,000 went all to medical, right? And then I have an umbrella to pay for the property damage, the rest of the medical payments, all of the other things that are imposed because I chose not to pay attention, right? So insurance is protecting me having a bad day. That's why we pay for insurance, right? That's also why the state requires us to have insurance, because they understand, or the man understands, that things happen, but you don't necessarily have 30, 40, 50, 60, 100, $1 million to spend on another person's medical injury because you weren't paying attention. You know, so there's a, I'm going to say, a fair balance with insurance. You can be overinsured, you can be underinsured, and it's that cherry spot. And really quickly with life insurance, you know, the same way. This individual who passed away in the plane accident yesterday, right? What's his family going to do now? It didn't tell me what it was, but you know, if I killed somebody, God forbid, you know, what would have happened? Am I going to have to repay that family resources the rest of my life? What things can you set up today? What things can you go through today? What things do you choose not to be educated about that you should be educated about? Are you choosing ignorance over education? Are you choosing to not pay attention to what is going on with your asset base, and it's growing and inherently growing just because the natural progression of the world is growth and development and asset base value? You know, so this is why I'm really good, because I love all of the details to a detriment sometimes. I love all the details because I want families and I want individuals and I want business owners. I want this community to stay alive because of what I'm doing, you know, or what I'm raising the standard of insurance, local insurance agents to do, because all of us have a responsibility in making sure that our community, our Iron County community, our, you know, Kane County community, our 5-county area where this radio station reaches, insurance agents have the responsibility to make sure that they're adequately protecting your guys' assets. Now, if an individual or a client makes the adjustment and says, well, I can't afford that, then there needs to be a balanced conversation being like, okay, so what are we willing to compromise if you can't afford this? If something did come up, what is going to happen? You know, kind of a deal. But that's why I'm really good at my job. This has been McKinnon Hansen, your host of Wired Wednesday. Thank you guys so much for joining us and having the conversation. I know insurance is really boring, and a lot of people don't want to deal with it, but the start of the new year, get those budgets out, get those policies out, make sure your liability limits are either more than or equal to the asset base that you've developed over the last couple of years. If you need a review, I am your local Farm Bureau financial agent. My number is 435-592-2021. I really look forward to meeting with you and with anybody who's willing to go through their policy in depth and figure out how to best benefit you as an individual with the balance of insurance. I'm McKinnon Hansen, your local Farm Bureau financial
I think I
agent.
learned some lessons today.
435-592-2021. What lesson did you learn
Well,
from this?
a couple, one, I'm not sure I want to get in the car with you, you're gonna go out there and hit people.
Oh
because-
my, no, I am such a grandma when I drive.
And secondly, I don't want to be around you for your mom.
Well, no, it's just the mower. Mowing is really relaxing. Just getting it started. You know, like the primer button that lawnmowers used to have, they don't have anymore.
My snowblower still has.
Wow, I need to come to your, wait, you have a snow blower?
Yes,
Why don't you come and do my driveway?
because
Well, Dr. T, thank you so much for having me.